a grave mistake. Plumes of smoke rose from the UN Relief and Works Agency warehouse in Gaza this morning. The UN said their compound had been hit by 3 shells of white phosphorus, which is designed to provide a smoke screen for the military. The fire truck arrived, but water's no use. White phosphorus burns on contact with oxygen. They needed sand to quell the flames, but they had none. The fire engulfed pallets of food and desperately needed medical supplies. They burnt and burnt.
The fire has spread from the workshops via the oil and spread to the warehouses. One by one the warehouses are going up. We're now trying to build a buffer zone between the warehouses and the offices to try and stop the offices. We've lost all our food and all our medicine to this fire.
700 refugees had been sheltering at the UN compound. They fled again, but there was nowhere to go. Even as the UN warehouse burned, the Israeli Prime Minister was meeting the UN Secretary General in Jerusalem. There were diplomatic smiles and handshakes. Prime Minister Olmert was overheard claiming that Hamas gunmen had been firing from the UN building. The UN later said that was nonsense.
Unfortunately, as we can see, they are using these civilians as human shields. They are targeting Israel from highly populated places. And at the end of the day, even though we try to avoid civil casualties, these things happen.
These things continued to happen. This morning, an Israeli tank shell hit the 13th floor of the Sharuk Media Tower, where Reuters and other news agencies work in Gaza City. Ayman al-Ruzi, who works for the Gaza Media Center, was injured. He was rushed to hospital with his colleague, cameraman Mohammed al-Asisi. At least Shifa Hospital was still functioning. The Al-Quds Hospital, which is run by the Palestinian Red Crescent, was shelled today. The Israeli assault on Gaza has reached a new pitch, and no one there knows what horrors tonight will bring.
Gaza by John Ging, who is head of the UN Relief and Works Agency. John Ging, can you just tell us from what you experienced what actually happened and whether there were militants shooting from your building?
There were no militants in our building. There were no militants shooting from our building. This is an unfounded and unsubstantiated allegation. I'm sorry that the officials who we deal with have told us directly that there were no militants in the building. These are the IDF, the senior IDF liaison people. During the period of the incidences at our compound this morning, there was no allegation made that the IDF were targeting anybody in our building or in the vicinity of our building. In fact, they continuously reassured us that the IDF were not targeting our building or anywhere in the vicinity of our building. So they're the facts, but of course let's have an investigation if they're disputed, an independent investigation, and take it from there. Fact of the matter is, of course, that our building was hit, it was struck, first by an artillery or tank shell on the building, the very building where 700 people were seeking refuge. And then an hour later, after continuous reassurances that there will be no further incidents in our compound, another part of our compound where it was the fuel depot, the warehouse and the workshop were set ablaze when 6 of these phosphorus type shells were fired in there, and we had a whole day of trying to get the blaze under control, and we lost the workshops and the warehouse.
You should know that there are over a few hundred of such compounds and sites around Gaza Strip, so it is a mistake. We apologize for it, but it's not the #1 site in Gaza Strip.
Our own Prime Minister here has said it's utterly indefensible. And after the apology was issued, you hit it again. Can you explain it? I mean, is somebody out of control in your armed forces? Is somebody attacking without the permission of the High Command?
Nobody is out of control. People operate under enormous stress. They've been attacked from all sides by militants, terrorists who've detonated almost every building and every street corner there. They've detonated even schools around that site. and therefore when they opened fire and heavy fire, the fire was launched back. There may have been a mistake. We apologize for it. It happens. It happens to your forces in Afghanistan as well. Sometimes it happens when you defend your own people.
Well,
we had 5,000 missiles on Israel, and that's what we're trying to do.
With respect, Minister, the UN has not been attacked by Western forces in Afghanistan, so far as it's possible.
So we
to tell.
apologize for it.
Went ahead and did it. You've been at this for 3 weeks. And you haven't hit the building yet. It's the most important UN building in the entire Strip, and you did it.
That's not true, first of all, and with all due respect, I beg you to, I think you have to look at it proportionately, because fire was shot from that area constantly, ongoingly, on Israeli soldiers and commanders who are trying to find those missiles,
that is not what the
launched at families in Israel.
That is not what the commanders told John Ging.
I didn't say it's from the compound. I said from around the compound.
Yeah, no, he was not told that by the commanders on the ground. No allegation of that sort was made. If you are saying that, then you are also saying that the UN's senior official in the Gaza Strip is lying.